Okay, we're back with John Rankin teaching us more about the John Rankin way. And John, we understand that you're teaching us about inflammation. We'd like to know more about what's causing inflammation in the body, and especially what we're seeing as an epidemic in the United States, especially in the American diet.
Inflammation is caused from an array of products. Chemicals in the air can cause inflammation. Bug sprays, pesticides, and herbicides on our fruits and vegetables, on our grains are causing inflammation. A lot of products in the grocery store, MSG causes inflammation. MSG is also an excitotoxin, which I spoke of earlier, that kills brain cells faster than you grow brain cells. That's what excitotoxins do in your body. When you go out to dinner at a Chinese restaurant and you're driving home from dinner and you look up in the mirror and your face is turning red, and your cheeks are swollen, your hands feel stiff on the steering wheel, and the back of your neck tingles, that's inflammation. That's pretty dangerous when you eat a food product and your neck tingles and your hands swell and your face swells. And foods like everything you eat in the supermarket, just about anything on the shelf is an inflammatory product. Not just. I'm talking about processed foods. Things in a jar with a lid, a box, and a bag. If it doesn't come out of a garden, it's not real food. If you look at the ingredient list and it has more than one or two ingredients, it's not real food. When you buy a product that's in a box in a grocery store, and it looks like a cheesy looking cracker, it's not made from cheese. It's made from pure chemicals. It's made from processed sugars and emulsifiers and hardeners and thickeners and all sorts of different things that are inflammatory to your body. It's all these foods cause inflammation. When you drink soft drinks, when you drink a milkshake, when you eat a potato chip, when you eat jam out of a jar in a store, when you eat peanut butter out of a jar in a store, all these have, besides processed sugar, they have MSG, which is a flavor enhancer. That obesity scientists actually inject rats with MSG to make them fat to study obesity. And so it's highly inflammatory. MSG is. It's one of the most inflammatory products out there besides sugar. Refined sodium. Most of your refined foods are loaded with refined sodium. And when I say refined sodium, I want folks to understand there are two kinds of sodium. There's a healthy kind and there's an unhealthy kind. There's unrefined sodium. And sodium comes out of the ground, and it's a beautiful product. It's Mother Nature's beauty. It has 84 trace minerals. It's loaded with potassium, natural iodines, manganese, magnesium. I'm talking about salt, zinc, loaded with healthy electrolytes. Tons of electrolytes, things that we need when we're out sweating on a baseball field or sweating climbing a mountain or whatever. You need those electrolytes. Every human body, every animal on earth has to have sodium, natural sodium, that is. Now, over the years, we have come along with refined sodium, and when they dig this salt out of the mines, the refined sodium companies, they cook this salt at over 1,000 degrees, which instantly oxidizes the sodium. It makes it highly inflammatory to your body. They add things such as aluminum powder, which is a highly toxic heavy metal, and will kill cells in your body, will cause inflammation. They add that for an anti-caking agent, so the salt comes out nice. In America, it's all about marketing and packaging. Americans want things such as salt. They want it to come out real fine and look real pretty. They bleach it white, so it's all white. Sodium's not white when it comes out of the ground. It's anywhere from brown to pink to all different colors. Sea salt's a slippery slope. In the last few years, America has fads every few years in the food market. In the last few years, sea salt's been the big fad. You see sea salt chips, sea salt peanut butter, sea salt everything. Most sea salt, if it just says sea salt on the package, is refined by the big refineries, and it's nothing but an inflammatory product. It's highly inflammatory to your body, and it ends up on the table with from 84 trace minerals to 4. When the doctor says it's inflammatory and it will raise your blood pressure, it will. What most doctors don't know is there's a thing called uninflammatory, unrefined sodium. Salt that's been broken out of the ground. Pink Himalayan's one of my favorite. Celtic sea salt is a all natural salt, unrefined. There's a few around the world. When it's brought out of the ground, it's chipped out of the ground and it's put in bottles and it comes to your table and it has 84 trace minerals. It will actually lower your blood pressure. Now, I don't know if doctors will agree with this, or most doctors, like I said, don't even know about it. And a lot of folks say, well, what's it taste like, John? Does it taste good? Well, when you eat a natural food product, that sodium is delicious. It's delicious. It's just like drinking a raw dairy. It's delicious. And puts out.
What's inflammatory about the dairy?
What's inflammatory about dairy? Well, there's a lot of chemicals put in that they wash the dairy trucks out with. There's antibiotics that they feed the cattle. They feed the cattle genetically modified corn in huge amounts, which is nothing more than sugar. It turns into a starch in the cow. It makes the cattle highly acidic, raises their acidity level probably 400% in their gut, which makes them have to have antibiotic shots. So it makes the milk that comes out of these cattle are highly acidic. They wash the tankers out with bleach. They don't always get them washed out good. The milk is pasteurized. It's heated to 175 degrees plus. And now lately, food refiners have come out with something new, and it's called ultra pasteurization. And in America, when a food company comes out with something called ultra or super or grand, we think that's better. And what we found out is ultra pasteurization is not just 175 degrees, it's 275 degrees. So they're basically cooking the milk. They're creating oxidation in the milk and making it an inflammatory substance. Foods are loaded with hydrogenated corn oils. Our government pays the corn industry to grow corn, and corn is in everything. It's corn oil in every food product you eat. These corn oils have been hydrogenated. Hydrogenated means they've been cooked at very high temperatures, and they've been boiled at high temperatures to refine them, to thicken them, to kill bacteria that's in them.
Okay, so what's the difference between that and a trans fat?
Trans fats are well, not much. That is a trans fat. Trans fats, that's a slippery slope also. The food industry is allowed in America to label a food product zero trans fats if it has less than 0.4% of trans fat per serving. And so what the food companies have done now, let's say a product used to have 2 servings in a gallon bag, and they only had to say, well, they would have to say it had more trans fat. What they're doing is breaking that down into several servings. So instead of 2 servings, they're just making up, well, we'll just say, call it 10 servings. Well, a lot of guys, big guys like me, they can eat a gallon of something. And so you'll eat 10 servings at 0.4%. So you're getting close to 5%, 5 grams of trans fats in your diet. And the food companies do not have to label this. You can eat a product, one meal, and have 5 to 10 grams of trans fats in it, and it will not be labeled on your labeling list on the food product.
Okay, so what about preservatives?
Preservatives are inflammatory. I've done a little test. I have some packaged country ham in my refrigerator. It's still in the package. It's been in there for about 6 years, and it looks brand new. It's loaded with nitrates. Nitrates are nothing but refined sodium on steroids. Nitrates and processed sugars and MSGs are in this ham. Nitrates are very cancer-causing because of the inflammation effect it has on your body.
How do you read labels, John?
I usually don't have to read labels anymore because I don't buy foods that have labels on them. I go to farmers markets. I grow my own foods. I have bees in my backyard. I have chickens in my backyard for eggs. I have. What are you looking for when you look at a label? you're looking for again, like I said earlier, if it says if you're buying walnuts, it should say walnuts on the label, not walnuts and water, not walnuts and hydrogenated oils, not walnuts and safflower or sunflower or whatever, not walnuts and salt, because that salt is inflammatory if it just says salt, unless it says an unrefined sodium, and you don't see that normally on packages of foods. So you need to look at a food product that's hopefully organic. You want to buy all organic. If I'm buying food in a grocery store, I won't buy anything but organic. When you see a grape or you see an orange, you see an apple in a grocery store, and it's twice as big as it's supposed to be, that Mother Nature grows it, that product has been grown in usually in depleted soil in southern parts of the United States and South America, and it's been fertilized with high amounts of nitrogen. Food companies want to, of course, they're in business for profit, for shareholders, and so it's all about poundage. When you can grow a product twice as fast and twice as big, you make twice as much money. And they can grow 3 seasons instead of two seasons instead of one. And so these foods are highly inflammatory. They're grown with super amounts of nitrogen and very little good soil in the ground to grow them from.
So if we don't know what something is on a label, do we just put it down?
Put it down. Put it down until you learn what it is. If you don't understand it, put it back. If a third grader cannot read what the words are on that ingredient list, then you don't need to eat it. You shouldn't put it in your body. If an ingredient list has 6 and 7 lines to the ingredient, and every one of those words on there are something from a chemical factory, and more than likely those products were made in a chemical factory, you shouldn't put it in your body.
You said that you cook your foods at low temperatures. Are high temperatures inflammatory?
High temperatures are inflammatory. High temperatures oxidize your foods, which makes it inflammatory to your body. I do a lot of cooking. I love to cook. I've cooked since I was 5 years old, and I've learned to slow my cooking down. In America, everybody, almost every recipe you've ever cooked with, your mother cooked with, your sister cooked with, it's bake 350. And I don't know why. I think it's probably because your mother did it, and her mother did it, and her mother did it. And so what I've learned to do, if a meat says to cook it at bake 350 for 30 minutes, I'll turn it down to 275 or 300, and I'll cook it for 35 or 40 minutes. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes longer. You can wait 5 or 10 minutes to not have an inflammatory substance in your body. And not only that, the flavors of that food are absolutely delicious. It changes the whole consistency of how it's cooked.
How do we know what temperature makes something inflammatory?
Well, most hydrogenated oils are cooked at real high temperatures, above 400 and 500 degrees, which makes them inflammatory. But a very healthy lard and coconut oil has a smoke point of around 375 degrees. Technically, you can cook that oil at that temperature. I don't ever do that. I don't cook oils past a couple of hundred degrees, usually 200, maybe 275 degrees at the most, and they won't become inflammatory. Never cook a butter and never cook a olive oil. When you get an olive oil or a butter up over 110, 120 degrees, it becomes rancid. And a lot of folks like to cook an egg in butter, and when you look down and you see the butter start to sizzle, you see it start to bubble, it's becoming oxidized, and it's inflammatory at that point. It makes your food inflammatory. Olive oils weren't meant to cook at high temperatures. A lot of vegetables are delicious with olive oil on them, and folks tend to want to cook them with olive oil. When I have a vegetable that I want to cook in olive oil, I usually cook it in coconut oil. I try to use the least that the pan needs to cook it in. And the moment I turn the heat off and move the pan off of the burner, I put my olive oil on. I drizzle it on. And actually the two oils mixed together are delicious.
Are there any other things that you want to warn folks about that cause inflammation?
Yes, other than the waters, that's a good question that you've just asked me. Other than foods, toxins in the air, toxins in the earth, toxins from cars, water's a big one. When you a lot of folks that have swimming pools know what chlorine does, and chlorine kills bacteria in the swimming pool. Chlorine also kills bacteria in your gut, in the human body. Your small intestine is 85% of your immune system, and with the use of antibiotics and diet sodas and things like this, processed foods, and chlorine absolutely kills your gut bacteria in your body, which makes inflammation go up in your body. Um, Chlorine is a highly toxic chemical. Back years and years ago, when they added chlorine to municipal water, 75, 85 years ago, heart attack risk in America skyrocketed simply from the chlorine in the water. The fluoride in the water is probably, studies are showing, not my theory, that fluoride is probably the number one cause of hypothyroidism in America. Again, we spoke earlier about thyroid problems in America. Every third person you talk to has a thyroid problem, and they don't know why. You flip over to European, Asian countries where they do not put fluoride and chlorine in their water, and guess what? They have no thyroid problems. Thyroid problem is a man-made disease. Cancers are man-made diseases. 100 years ago in America, 150 years ago, we didn't have these diseases, and we don't have these diseases in countries today that don't serve these products in their supermarkets, that don't add these products to their water systems.
So you tell people to eat like it's the year 1700?
Eat like it's the year 1700. Stay away from municipal water, and the way you can do this, you can buy water filter systems for your house, but be careful. Water companies make a lot of promises, filter companies, that don't always come true. If you buy bottled water, buy spring water. If you buy All bottled waters aren't created equal. Some bottled waters say purified water, but that means it's been purified. It's from a municipal source that's been had all the chemicals out of a dirty river, and it's been purified. Spring water is spring water out of the earth. Not only does it have an abundant amount of minerals that your body needs, it's a lot more pure coming out of the center of the earth than it is out of the local river.
I've heard people ask you where to begin to implement this program. Obviously, you would like us all to eliminate all inflammatory causing products from our diets, but we're beginners here, so what would you suggest for starters?
Well, just the things we've been talking about. Clean these things out of your life. Clean your closets out. Clean your cabinets out. Also in America, every sink that you look under in every kitchen in America probably has no less than 8 or 9 chemicals under the sink. A lot of these chemicals don't even have the tops on them. They don't have the lids on them. They're leaking. You stick your head under the sink and you can't breathe. Well, when you shut those doors under your sink, those toxins don't just stay there. Those vapors don't stay hidden under there. They leach out into your house. Laundry detergent, can of cleanser that you don't have the lid on, when you get close to it, you can't breathe. You become asphyxiated almost. When you shut those doors, that vapor does not stay there. When you walk in your laundry room, sometimes you can't hardly breathe. You can't hardly wait to get out. When your heat and air system's running in your house, it's pulling those vapors from the laundry room all through your house. Be very careful with these chemicals.
So clean up your air, clean up your water, clean up your food sources, learn to read labels.
Spend a lot of time outdoors.
I've heard you say that with some of the people that you've helped, if they've done even half of what you've suggested, their blood test improve remarkably.
Oh yes, remarkably. Like I said, the human body, and scientific studies show they put folks on heart monitors. They've drawn blood every 30 minutes for so many hours. They've checked blood pressure, pulse. Within minutes, if not short hours, after a smoker lays the cigarettes down, the blood pressure starts down, the inflammation starts down in your body. Human body is a miraculous thing. It heals itself. It will cure itself. And so when you quit these products, your body will recover to the natural state it once was.
So as far as learning, you're going to have a day in the life of John Rankin available so that we can learn more about what we should eat and all the things to watch out for. You're also going to have recipes and recipe books available to teach us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. These are the products that heal my body. These are the products that have healed other people that I personally know. When you, I have friends that have done half of what I've done for 3 months, 6 months. Their prostate levels in men, their numbers have come down several points. Their glucose levels have dropped significantly. Their triglycerides have dropped. Their HDL has gone up. Their good cholesterol. Something interesting also that happened to me, a couple of things. I used to clip my fingernails about every 4 to 5 weeks. I have to clip my fingernails about every 7 days now. And what happened when I quit eating the processed foods and I started eating raw dairy, raw cheese, the calcium, the vitamin D, I didn't know that was going to happen. And after a few months, I realized I was clipping my toenails every few days, clipping my fingernails every few days. Another thing that happened to my body, I had kidney stones for 12 years. There are a lot of kidney stone sufferers in America. And when you go to the doctor with kidney stones, it's usually discouraging because the doctors in America will say, we don't know what caused kidney stones, and you'll probably have them for the rest of your life. My doctor told me that. That was very discouraging, and to know that I was going to have kidney stones running through my body, through my kidneys, and out of my bladder for the rest of my life. They're very painful. I was hospitalized 3 times with them. I was almost killed by my doctor one visit to the hospital. He turned the ultrasound machine up too high and bruised my heart and lungs. Had to wake me up with adrenaline shots. My heart rate went down to below 30 beats per minute. I woke up with blood coming out of my mouth, and they told me that the lung doctor was on the way to see me. All this because I ate processed sugar. I didn't have to have these kidney stones, and I had, besides the 3 critical ones that I had over the years, I passed small kidney stones approximately every 60 days for 12 years. When I stopped eating processed sugars, the acidity level in my body went to a good alkaline level. The uric acid in my body went to a good level, and went about 3 months, and though it didn't have a kidney stone, and I thought, well, I'm going to have one any day. And I wasn't looking forward to that. About 6 months went by, I didn't have a kidney stone. A year went by, no kidney stones. Now remember, I had kidney stones every 2 months, small ones for 12 years. I'm at 3.5 years now, and I've had 0 kidney stones. So don't let a doctor or medical association tell you that you're never going to heal and that you're going to be sick for the rest of your life. Don't accept that. Your body will heal itself, but you have to go back to natural foods. Your acidity level has to go back to alkaline in your body. It's easy to do. Your inflammation has to go down, and your body will heal itself. Disease will leave your body.
Well, I think folks will be learning a lot from the helps you've given them, and will continue to give them, and they'll be on the road to good health too.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I think the recipe book will do this. If you follow this recipe book, you use these recipes, eat lots of chocolate fudgy recipes that are in there. I know that sounds wrong in the American diet, but the recipes that we're putting out there in this book will heal your body. It will get you off of the sugar and the processed foods, and the inflammation will leave.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Get healthy, America.